Hello and welcome to another episode of Pokémath. My name is Stefan Eriksson, and today, for another interview for you guys, I am joined by Bryan de Vries. You may have heard about him before, one of his previous accomplishments, or you may have heard about it last week when he actually won the first ever team challenge. Well, that's why he's here today. So, thank you very much and welcome here today, Bryan. Thanks for joining.
Hello.
That was nice, Bryan. hello. So, Bryan, Dutch person. We could also do this in Dutch, then you can make fun of my Dutch accent or my Dutch language, but we're gonna do this in English so everybody can follow.
Aw,
Yeah, it would have been fun, huh? But
it
no.
will be fun to hear your accent again, but okay.
Yeah, you will hear it again in another tournament where I say something horribly wrong that was not intended. See, Dutch, for people who don't know it out there, can be rather tricky at times. But, back on topic, guys. We're here today to talk about the team challenge. But before we get actually into the team challenge, Bryan, could you tell us a little about yourself? Like, who is Bryan de Vries?
Well, I'm 22 years old. I live in the Netherlands. Um, I study psychology because it's really interesting, just knowing how the human mind works. And Pokemon-wise, I've been playing the game since 2009, I think, between the Supreme Victors and Arceus sets, somewhere around that timeline.
Yeah, that is right around that time now. I'm also not the best to remember exactly when what was released. Maybe somebody comment section below can help us a little with that because on top of my head I don't remember, I must say. But yeah, there's you've been playing for quite a while. I know I've been playing against you for many years.
Yeah.
We had many fun games against each other. So yeah, but that's not what we're talking here about today. We're talking about this team challenge. Like, for those who have lived under a rock for the past month, so each store can host up to 4 qualifiers, or they should host 4 qualifiers to gather itself a team, from which the store will participate in a huge single elimination bracket. Now, normally some stores will have to start in the top 1028, but from what I understand, the Tafelridder, which is the store that you and 3 other guys represented, you started in the top 512, correct?
Yes.
It's nice with a buy, but how did you qualify first? Like, how did that go? Let's take a step back and start from the beginning. Like, were you the first qualifier, or?
The first qualifier was in December, I think, and I actually won the first one, and then Owen and Brennan second and third one, and Thomas the fourth, and then we had a little bit of an intermission between the qualifiers and the playoffs,
Do you
and
remember what you played back then, or what each played? Like, tell us a little about your team also.
I think well, for the playoffs we changed our decks around all the time. I know Thomas played ADP most of it because he was the most inexperienced on our team. And ADP is pretty easy tech to pilot. Um, so he picked it up really quickly and managed to play it really well throughout the tournament. Mostly I played Loop Metal, and after I saw the Players' Cup Grand Finals with Tord bring that Urshifu Fucino deck, I played that because it's a really good and fun deck to play. And Brennan mostly plays single pricer decks like Spiritomb and Baby Blounce. So he wanted to play those decks, but he sometimes also played Eternatus because it was really good in our lineup. And Owen played like 8 different decks throughout the 10 rounds.
Talking about versatility,
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. Now, so you seem also to be fortunate to have a really solid team there. Like one thing I always found so fun with this dynamic of this team challenge was that for each round you had to select a captain. How did that go about actually?
So the captain can help the players during their matches, but mostly they only focus on one match because it's really difficult to control 3 matches at the same time. But after we knew what our opponents brought with the open deck list, you have to bench someone, and that person automatically becomes the captain. So we mostly looked at our opponent's list and thought like, okay, we have to bring these 3 decks because we expect them to bring those 3 decks. So most of the time, I or Brennan were the captain because ADP is really strong. So Thomas almost always played, and Owen always had a good matchup. Um, so mostly Brennan or I were benched. Owen actually was benched only once, and that was during the top 4 because he played the Sage Y, and that was a big mistake.
Well, fair, but you got to not pick it, right? So you could,
Yeah.
not you didn't have to put that into the battle, right? No, it's a. But how one thing I wondered: how much time in advance did you know the deck list from when you had to actually make the decision about who to bench?
The deck lists were public on Fridays, Friday morning, and we had to play, yeah, somewhere in the weekends. But after top 32, all the matches were at 6 p.m. CST, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So we had like 24 hours, 30 hours to come up with a lineup.
Oh, that seems fair enough. I assume like you guys communicated through Discord, or how did you actually
Yeah,
go through all the communication?
yeah, via Discord. And
Okay.
then during the week, we just discussed strategies, what do we want to bring, if we had information about what our opponents' decks were the last week or last couple of weeks, we take that into account when deciding which decks we want to bring.
Yeah, would you say that that was also a very big component in how to choose what to play? Actually, like if you could get past
Yeah.
information.
Yes, because if you have, uh, for example, I brought Urshifu for
Mm-hmm.
a long time, and we had AP on our lineup, and so we had these two core decks, and we had to um, bring counters for like psychic decks because Urshifu just loses that, and I don't want to tag out my lists because it just crushes my consistency.
Yeah, consistency is
For
king. I heard.
Yeah, so it's better to bring decks that have at least like a 50-50 matchup against that weakness on your team.
Fair.
So that's really strong that way.
But also like yeah, so you see all this. You got to play a lot of rounds, of course. Like, but it must have been interesting when you started in top 512 because there you had no previous information, right? So you just had to go with your gut feeling in that one, I guess.
Yeah, we just chose our comfortable picks, but still having a solid lineup so we can battle against anything and any lineup. And it's not bad to have one or two auto losses, and because you have to win 5 out of 9 best of threes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's and usually like I also saw the most of the top four in the finals, but yeah, it got a little late, I must admit. But it was really nice to see how this played out and everything. There was some very good plays in there, so well done on that, Brian. It was really nice to see. And for anybody who haven't seen the finals or top four yet, I'll put a link to this in the description below, so you can go and watch back the finals there if you want to. I think they're really really worth watching. But like Ryan, going through all these games, top 512, 256, so forth, is there any particular memorable matchup you had throughout this whole event?
mm, I think there was one round, I think it was top 64, where we had a lineup and we saw our opponent's decks and we were like, we're gonna lose this. Because we at first we thought, okay, the matches are okay, we don't have really a lot of auto losses. And then we started testing and we had 4 bad matchups. And we were like, oh, well, this is not gonna.
Oh, can I ask what do you remember what kind of decks this was? Because this sounds interesting also for the viewer here. Like,
Um, I think I played at Loop Metal at that time
mm-hmm.
with ADP. I think we had Eternatus as well. And Owen played. What did he play? I don't
Well,
know.
knowing Owen, you probably well now he played the Eternatus, right? Because otherwise I'll say that's Brennan with the single prices, right?
Mm, no, no. Brandon played Eternatus,
Okay,
or
yeah,
maybe it was reversed. Yeah, I think Owen played Eternatus and Brandon played Blounce. I think that was the lineup we had.
yeah.
And
There's no real event without him playing Blounce at least once. I know that much.
I think we had to play against an Italian deck. Uh, and Eternatus. I don't remember their last two, but the problem was that Italian list could counter ADP, Eternatus, and the Baby Blau matchup was also pretty good for them. And their Eternatus played hammers, so
Ooh.
the Eternatus list we played didn't play hammers, so it's a little bit shaky. I think that was the round we were most scared of after seeing their decks. Um, and beside that, the rest of the tournament, I think the finals was pretty scary because we started off pretty good, but we knew our later matches would become pretty difficult because we had like Mad Party against us with our Victini deck, and then my Luke Metal against their Fire deck. So that's always scary. So we're
Yeah,
stressed out during the finals.
I saw that. I saw that, Brian. Like, I remember I tuned in, and the thing I tuned into was like ADP using Ultra Creation against Mad Pine. I was like, okay, that's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
Like, you had a strong opening in that final. You up 3-0, is that
Mhm.
correct? Yeah.
Yeah, 3-0. But after seeing the pairings, we expected that. But
Hmm.
we knew the last three matches were like, oh, we don't want to finish it off with the ADP versus Urshifu matchup because that can go either way. And but we lost the fourth and the sixth match, and those were more like the 50-50-ish matchups. And we needed to win one of those to close out the series without any trouble, which
So
we
at that
didn't.
so at that point you were at 4-2, right?
Yeah,
So can you
unfortunately.
maybe take us through the decisive match again a little bit, maybe for those who haven't watched it yet?
The last match was the eighth, and I played Luke Metal against a Victini Firebox kind of deck. But they didn't play Giratina, the one that removes special energy.
Oh yeah,
So,
that's a very big
yeah.
factor here in this matchup. Yeah.
And we knew their list. They didn't change their list a lot from top four to finals, so we knew that. So I played my list with four coding energy, a little bit more explosive draw power in research because you see those tackle lists nowadays, but I don't like those personally. I want a little bit more explosive draw power. And during that match, game one, I drew into my coding metals early on, like all four within the first 2 or 3 turns. So that was really big. And even then, the match became pretty scary because I think there was my first prize I took. I was like, okay, let's boss this Victini, and I have a game plan in my head that would guarantee me the win if I draw a Pokémon out of my prizes. And there were two prizes, and I draw three prizes, but I didn't draw it. So that was really scary. And then everything came down to, do I hit my last boss of this research and Intrepid Sword so I can win the turn after?
We all come down to all these decisions where you could calculate what's the odds of you not drawing those prizes, right, Brian? But it happens. It happens. We've all been
Yeah.
there. But I can tell,
Yeah,
scary match.
it was a really scary match.
Like,
I think, yeah.
suppose you would have lost this match, so we've gone to 4-3 at that point. What matchups would we have looked at that point? Do you remember?
Well, at that time it would be 4-4.
Oh yeah,
So the
sorry. Oh
last
yeah,
match,
so it would have been the final
last
match.
match
Yeah, my bad.
would be ADP versus their Eternatus. And I think that matchup, because we played Mew, so I think the matchup becomes pretty 50-50 at that point.
Did they play Eternus or did they play Urshifu?
Urshifu.
Okay, yeah, okay, Urshifu. Oh.
So then it really becomes like, do they hit before we alt creation? And if we alt creation before they hit us, can we get a knocked on the Denning or the Crobats? And does Maul hit? When do we bench the Mew? Those kind of things. It really comes down to how well do both players draw and how dependent on the Dennings and Crobats are they? Because those are the easy prize for both decks.
Man, it's always like we most of you guys out there have played these matchups also, and for people watching this, yeah, you probably seen these matchups. You also know that hey, if ADP just pulls off turn one altar creation, it's usually a very good sign for ADP, right?
Mm-hmm.
And here
Yeah.
Mew is a big factor because Urshifu is a very good sniper in this case. Like
Yeah.
it's nothing to scoff at. It's very good. And well, let me say again, congratulations for the victory. And now I'm wondering, what do you guys actually win?
So I thought this is really weird because we don't know it 100% yet.
So congratulations, winning the event, Brian. And we don't really know what you won yet, but cool.
I think they said something about it's like cumulative from top eight further. So top eight got like one box of battle styles, then top four gets on top of that the battle styles and the vivid voltage booster box. Then second place gets codes, and then first place gets also trophy. But yesterday we got something that we get more boxes for second place and first place, but it's still to be announced and what kind of set it is. And
Okay,
so I
okay.
don't know 100%, but that's the information we got. And we also get for top 64 or top 32 a
I think
Ultra Pro goodie bag and some playmats
I
or
heard.
something.
I think it's top 32 with the special playmat. I heard something so much
Yeah.
about. Like, you see posts here and there, like, "Yay, my store made us. Now we get special playmats." And then
Mhm.
top 8 was the new cutoff for something extra interesting, right? It was really amazing to see, and still, it's quite funny. You win a very big event, the first of its kind, and you're not even quite sure what you won. Like,
No.
now, what then?
Yeah. Like what now?
Yeah, indeed. What now? Like, so I was wondering, did you also try to qualify for the next round?
Yeah. Yeah. So we are all qualified. We have the exact same team for the summer challenge. So
Wow, you
we are gonna
actually
try to.
managed all four in Leiden,
Yeah.
so Tafelridder in Leiden, all four to
Hmm.
win again. Now I have to ask, like, was there any competition for those plots, or it's like kind of like, we figure it out, or no?
Well,
Hmm.
the thing is, Owen and Brennan and me, we are pretty good. So playing there was it wasn't the biggest of challenges. I mean, normally at League Cups in Leiden, we have like I don't know
That was
how
exactly
many
what I was
players.
thinking. If I travel to a League Cup in Leiden, we're like 60, 80 people, and I know it's pretty stacked.
Yeah, but this time I think the first qualifier was like 9 people, and most of them play for fun and don't necessarily play really competitively. So they're like more average level players. So
Oh,
I
fair.
think the only person I lost to at the first qualifier was Owen in his finals.
Hmm.
But beside
So
that,
fair point. What did you qualify with this time then?
line deck,
Yeah, what deck did you play?
ADP, I think.
I like that they're so the memory is so good that you're not even quite sure what you won your last event with. I think, ladies and gentlemen out there, they're just witnesses. Like, well, Brian, he wins a lot of events, as you can see. So many, he doesn't even remember what he won with last time.
I mean, yeah, the qualifier itself isn't really that big of a deal, personally, I
Well,
think. But
I can only say I tried one qualifier at the last moment, and then I dead drew. I was like, oh, never mind.
yeah, indeed, it's like 3 rounds gameplay,
Yeah,
and you can lose if you don't roll well. No,
it
okay,
happens, and that's also perfectly fine. Now I'm really happy to hear that. I also think a lot of other people are happy to hear that it's going to be the same team again. So you can see if we can go back to back victory again. You're definitely already there. We don't know whether you're going to start in top 512 or top 1028. Don't know if there's some kind of seeding going on for next event. Who knows? They haven't announced anything yet, I think. But in any case, I'll be looking forward to see you guys back at the virtual tables again. Hopefully,
hmm
winning some more matches. Now,
hopefully.
before we finish up today, Brian, I need to ask this because you know how much I like these type of decks. Did you face any stall decks or control decks in the whole event?
No, and
Ah,
we
ah,
actually
ah.
hoped to play against Team Highland with Sander in it in top four, but they lost in top 8 or top 16, I think.
Yeah, I think I saw this and I saw Sander post about it. And you guys like, oh no, we can actually meet each other. So now we had to like
Yeah.
Uber check our complete day against Sander, and like I could just imagine whole Sander's team be four different variants of control. Like I could just see him influence the entire thing.
That will be a thing, but literally we were discussing it and we were like, at least 2 of our decks need to play Cricketune V or Oranguru or both
Yeah,
to
something.
counter something. Um,
I
yeah,
could see it happen. He comes there and like he goes like, okay, stamp Jesse James, and then a chip just to top it off with, and you sit there like, well, that was a good game, guys.
yeah, exactly. So Cricketune V solves all those problems.
It is a good card.
Yeah.
I only played around for fun myself when I made my what is it called, Kramer and V Max fun deck, just to check some math, as you know. But well,
Mhm.
I think this points out for this ends for today's interview. So I would like to say thank you very much for joining today, Brian, for this little interview. I really appreciate hearing about how this whole run was, and like I said before, I'll look forward to see you guys back at the virtual table. See, maybe you can take two in a row. Who knows?
Yeah, let's hope so.
Then, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, this was another episode of Pokémath. My name is Stefan Eriksson, and today I was joined by Bryan de Vries, the winner of the first team challenge. So, well done, Brian,
Thank you.
and have a good day. And until next time,
Bye.
bye.